Hi, everybody. Today's Wednesday, August 20th, 2025, and our friend Laith Marouf from Beirut is back with us. Welcome back, Laith.
Great to be with you, Nima.
Laith, how do you see the situation with Syria? It seems that for the first time, the Syrian government is trying to make some sort of connection, talking with Israelis. What's going on in Syria, and how do you see the role of Turkey in that?
Well, this, as we have heard right now, the quote unquote foreign affairs minister of HTS met with Israeli representatives in Europe. And it was reported in the official Syrian national news agency that's now controlled by HTS. So there's no denying it. It's not a rumor or anything like that. The Ba'ath Party government for 50 years did not meet with the Zionists. Even during negotiations about the return of the Golan Heights, it was indirect negotiations with the United States there because Syria never acknowledged the legitimacy or the existence of the Zionist colony as a state. And here we are, 9 months of being in power, and the Wahhabi death squads are already meeting with the enemy of the Syrian people, with the enemy of the Arabic people, with the enemy of the Muslim people, on an equal footing, as if the Zionist colony is a legitimate entity that you can negotiate with. And obviously, the Assad government before are now vindicated that those Wahhabi death squads, that those who were calling for democracy, quote unquote, and human rights, quote unquote, are actually just spies and agents of the Zionist colony in the West. And even Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah from his grave right now has been vindicated because everybody remembers when Hezbollah intervened in Syria to stop the advances of these Wahhabi hordes, and they were denigrated, called, supporters of dictatorship and what have you. And Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah in every speech said that if the Assad government falls to the hands of these Wahhabi death squads, that we will see Syria abandon Palestine, Syria being an ally of the Zionists, and that this will be the worst thing that could happen to Palestine. And here we are. This is what it is. And of course, behind the Jolani regime is the Turkish government, is the Saudis, the Qataris, the Jordanians, the CIA, the MI6. All of those people are the ones that are maneuvering this, government that doesn't really rule the country. Remember, much of the country is occupied by America, by Turkey, and or is out of the control of the Jolani regime. And this is not surprising because the Turks, as in Turkish government, not the Turkish people, the Turkish government, the Jordanian government, the Saudi government, they've all been allies of the Zionists for more than a century, plotting against any Arabic resistance or Muslim resistance to Zionism.
It seems that they're seeking legitimacy, the legitimacy of the government in Syria outside of Syria. You have to have some sort of unity within the country to be stronger, to be more powerful. But do you feel that Turkey, even I would argue Erdogan, how they're trying to help Syria when they're asking them to make new connection, make a better connection with Israelis? We know Israel would not be satisfied with whatever comes from Syria. They want a big chunk of Syria. The only reason that they're trying to talk with Al Jolani, these people, How do you see the people in Syria? How do they feel about these people in power, HTS fighters?
I've been watching a lot of videos from inside Syria from different people that are posting situation on the ground. A lot of these videos are from different parts of the country, and even from preachers that are religious preachers that are supposed to be on the same team as Al-Jolani. And the level of criticism that has arisen is unprecedented. I think the regime of Al-Jolani has not only lost all the minorities, the Alawis, the Shia, the Druze, the Christians, or the Kurds, but also is now losing any Sunni, other than the majority that are, mystic, as in Sufi. Even anyone that supports these Wahhabi and or Ikhwani tendencies within Sunni Islam, they're beginning now to question this, because we were told, or these people were told, that Al-Jolani and his men are strong and able to defeat Russia, Syria, Iran, Hezbollah. And now everybody sees that this man is a puppet being taken back and forth. Depending on who gives him what money, he'll do whatever. And this is now creating schisms within even the Salafi or Takfiri or Muslim Brotherhood camp. So all these moves are weakening Al-Jolani. He knows that, but this is what his master wants. The whole job of Al-Jolani right now and his regime is to sign on as, surrender of Syrian territory and sovereignty, as much of it as possible before he falls, because this is not a government that's going to last long. And therefore, whoever comes after will be, having to deal with a person who signed a treaty on behalf of the Syrian people and the Syrian government. So I think this is the main reason for this. And if this continues as fast as they're trying to do it, look, the Zionists are trying to do this as fast as possible because they are worried when they open, let's say, a war in Lebanon, how that's going to affect the regime of Al-Jolani. Al-Jolani's death squads could be sent into Lebanon, and most probably they will be minced once they face off with Hezbollah, which means the rest of Syria will be harder to control by Al-Jolani. And there's a very big chance of possible revolts while the Wahhabi death squads are attempting to invade Lebanon. And so they are trying to finalize any possible treaties or surrender by Syria to the Zionists before anything like that happens.
Laith, how do you describe the society in Lebanon? How much of the Sunni faith, Shia and Alawite, and we know about you mentioned Sufism, something like the way that we have in Turkey, and it seems it's so much similar to Iranian Shiism. What's that? How what are the combination of these different factions in society in Syria?
Yeah, like 85% of all Sunnis in Syria are Sufi, mystic. Obviously there's Sufi schools within Sunni Islam, and then there's Sufi schools within Shia Islam, and the two Sufi schools are very close to each other because it's all about spirituality and not literalism of things. So this is how it is. In Lebanon, it is the same. In fact, most of Sunni Muslims, period, outside of the Gulf monarchies, the vast majority of Sunnis from Mauritania to Indonesia that are Sufi. And this is true also in Lebanon. And we saw over the last week, by the way, not only these Sufi schools criticizing the direction of the government trying to disarm Hezbollah, but we saw also Al Jama'ah Al Islamiyah, the Islamic group, which is one of the armed Sunni groups here in Lebanon. The Jama'ah Islamiyah had a demonstration in Tripoli. Tripoli, is a city that's mainly Sunni in the north. And as we know that a few weeks ago, a month ago, the envoy of Trump, Barak, threatened to hand over Tripoli to the HTS government in Syria. And so to see the Jama'ah Islamiyah, the Islamic group, have a demonstration in Tripoli and saying they refuse the disarmament of Hezbollah and that they will stand on their side in a situation where there's a confrontation and or a war out from outside the country, that shows you that it's very hard for the Saudis and the Turks to influence the Sunni tendencies within Lebanon. There's another thing that the Saudis and the Turks are having a problem with within the Sunni population here, is that the Saudi regime had in 2019 kidnapped the former prime minister, Hariri, and tied him up on a chair and forced him to resign on air. And then it was Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, basically, that saved his life and brought him back to the country. But since that day, the Saudis have kind of put a ban on the Hariri family returning to politics. And the Hariri family is the most established Sunni political, family in the country. And so you're having, forced the Hariri family outside of the political sphere, while also having all these Sufis and the Islamic group opposing what Saudi Arabia is trying to do, and the Turks behind them also in Lebanon, means that the Saudis really don't have much influence within the Sunni population like they have, let's say, in Syria and or in Iraq. So this is making it harder and harder for the CIA and the Mossad to maneuver some civil war. The only thing that they can truly depend on as a possibility of civil war, local agents to confront the resistance, are the phalange, Christian supremacist parties, which represent a very small minority within even the Christian population. And that's not a fighting force that can effect change on the ground, especially if the Druze, the Alawis, the Shia, and the majority of the Sunnis come together against them. There's no way for that to be a winning battle for the Saudis. So that's an overlook of what's happening here. And just 2 days ago, there was a joint press conference held at the headquarters of the SSNP, the Syrian Social National Party, that brought together Hezbollah with the SSNP and a variety of other parties that are patriotic, that are pan-Arab or liberationist, all sitting together in a press conference, and they threatened, not really, I wouldn't say threatened. They declared what the prime minister is trying to do, Nawaf Salam, as the closest thing to treason that they have seen in Lebanon in decades, and that they will not allow the disarmament of the resistance. So this shows you that there's already a coalition forming, almost a revival of the patriotic front Jammul, it was called, in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, that was fighting against Israeli occupation in coalition with Hezbollah and Amal at the time. So now we have a revival of a patriotic front that is pan-party, pan-religion, pan-identity. And that's shows you how almost impossible it's going to be for Salam to deliver on the disarmament of Hezbollah.
Laith, what was the outcome of the Iran's head of National Security Council, Ali Larijani, to Lebanon? What was the outcome of the with the Lebanese government?
Yeah, I think the
the tensions between Hezbollah and the government.
Yeah, I think the clearest thing that we can see about what did Larijani do when he arrived. At the end of his meeting with Nawaf Salam, a cameraman with his mic open on his camera caught a few words from Larijani to Salam, and those words echoed, I think, in all of the media and the social media here. And Larijani was speaking very quietly, but was caught on the mic to Salam, telling him, I hope you're not, angry or unhappy, but I had no choice but to be very frank and straightforward with you. So that shows you, that means that Larijani was blunt with Nawaf Salam, and Iran, through Larijani, made it clear that they will not allow a massacre of the Shia population in Lebanon. I think the kind of the ceiling was very low for Iran. It seems like Iran told the government here in Lebanon that Hezbollah is not going to be triggering any external confrontation. And that's what they are willing to give this government. But that any attempt to disarm Hezbollah will lead to a direct military intervention by Iran. So this is how blunt I think Larijani was. And this is what we are hearing within here, the political circles in the country. So, you put what Larijani said, you see what the new coalition of political parties defending resistance have said. You look at what's happening on the ground in Lebanon, and it's clear that we're heading towards two possibilities. Either the government of Nawaf Salam retreats and tries to find a formula in terms of the issue of the arms of Hezbollah or other resistance groups that is patriotic, and that's what Hezbollah is offering. Hezbollah is offering to create a national military strategy to see how to arm the military to get it to a point where it's actually a defender of the country and able to defend it. And then we can talk about disarmament. So that's a possibility, that actually Nawaf Salam retreats and accepts what Hezbollah and the rest of the resistance bloc here in the country wants. And the only other possibility, if Salam doesn't go this path, is that Salam's government is going to collapse, because it's already now more than a week that the Shia ministers within the cabinet, as well as a few other ministers that are from resistance supporting parties, are refusing to join the cabinet meetings, meaning the government currently is unconstitutional. And if this continues like this way, there will be a collapse of the government, and Nawaf Salam will lose his job. That's the other only possibility. And I don't think we will have any internal civil war. The military, represented by General Haikal, it's clear that it will not be, directing its weapons towards the civilians and or citizens of Lebanon.
Seems you have some sort of problem with the internet connection.
Yeah, on my side, it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but Laith, do you feel Lebanon is somehow learning from the government is which experience for in Lebanon in terms of the way that the government is behaving?
I didn't hear exactly what you said. I'm sorry, it cut off a little bit.
Yeah, my question is the learning curve of the government in the situation in Lebanon.
Yeah,
What's going on?
let me step out and try back again, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, hold on a second.
Okay. You have some sort of problem with the internet connection. I don't know what is the problem.
I feel it's not, eh? Still
Yeah.
have a problem. Are you in the same place or in different? I feel you're in a different place.
Can you hear me, Leith?
Yeah, it still cuts off. So
Yeah, I think Leith, we have the. Can you hear me, Leith? Is
yeah, I
everything
can hear.
okay? I want to know how do you find the learning curve of the government in Lebanon? Are they learning from what's going on in the region, even uh, in Lebanon, and the way that they're trying to deal with Ebola and with all of these different parties within the Lebanese society?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to actually say that they will learn anything. I mean, Nawaf Salam has as I said before in our last stream, um, has a history in his family of treason and collaboration with the Zionists. So it's not really about learning anything. And of course, Nawaf Salam left his position as the head of the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, to give a chance to a Christian Zionist from Uganda to become the chair of the ICJ, to allow Israel to escape any repercussions for its war crimes and crimes against humanity. So this is where I think it's clear that there will be no learning curve for Nawaf Salam. But we look at the president, and it's clear that President Aoun is not comfortable fully with what's happening because this is the end of his career. He was a long-term general within the military, had a lot of respect. Everybody respected him in the country, and now he's in a position of being the president of the country, and suddenly all his history is being thrown down in the garbage by being associated with Nawaf Salam and his plans. So, because Aoun wants to, have his legacy written right now, it's clear that he's going to have confrontations with Salam, especially that the military led by General Haikal is also against what Salam is doing. So he has to make sure that he doesn't lose the support of the military as a president, nor have his his legacy destroyed by Nawaf Salam. So if there is any changes that are going to happen, it's going to be in the positions of President Aoun. I don't expect Nawaf Salam as a good house slave to suddenly become Django and rebel against the master.